และช่วงนี้พบกับคุณเทพชัยหยองในช่วงข่าวภาษาอังกฤษไทย PBS World ค่ะ
Good evening and welcome to Thai PBS World. For days, many Thai people were terrorized by the gruesome murder of a woman in Khon Kaen, allegedly by Thailand's most notorious serial killer, Somkit Phumphwang. Somkit had just walked out of jail on parole 7 months ago, after having spent 14 years behind bar for the death of 5 victims he confessed to have murdered. The Thai public is both puzzled and horrified by the fact that someone who has committed such a hideous crime could have walked out free after having served only a fraction of his jail term. They believe that something is very wrong with the country's penal system. This was the moment when a team of policemen set upon Somkit Phumphwang, who was on the run on Wednesday after allegedly murdering a woman in Khon Kaen only a few days earlier. Somkit, disguising himself with a cap and a mask, was riding in a carriage of an Ayutthaya-bound train when he was spotted by a student. The young Samaritan used his mobile phone to take pictures of the suspicious-looking man slumping on a seat and forwarded them to police for verification. As the train made a stop at Pak Chong railway station in Nakhon Ratchasima, police decided to make their move.
ได้สอบถามกับทางผู้ต้องหาแล้วว่าให้การรับสารภาพตลอดข้อกล่าวหา
Why the arrest of Somkit only a few days after a wanted poster for his arrest went nationwide could have been described as a major success of the authorities, thanks to the students' tip-off. It also, at the same time, reflects poorly on the country's penal system. One question that is on the mind of most people is why a person with such convictions and criminal record was allowed to walk free without any monitoring and to commit another crime. The 55-year-old Somkit, a native of Trang province and is known to have a history of childhood violence, had been convicted in 5 murder cases and sentenced to death in 2012. But after only 7 years, he was given a parole in May this year. Officials of the Corrections Department admitted that something was wrong with the pardon process that led to Somkit's early release and immediately set up a panel to review existing regulations. At the same time, Justice Minister Somsak Thepsutin confessed that control and monitoring of hardcore criminals under detention or after their releases is still a major problem that needs to be quickly strengthened. He also pointed out possible loopholes in the pardon and sentence reduction process. Somkit certainly is not the first case that exposes weaknesses in the Thai parole system. In a much publicized case back in 2006, an army major, Chermchai Machaklam, was sentenced to death for the murder of then-governor of Jasothon province in northeastern Thailand. Chermchai was known as an influential figure with connection in high places and was allegedly involved in a number of high-profile extortion cases. But after having spent only 14 years behind bars, Chermchai was released on parole for good behavior in 2015. But only a few months later, Chermchai was rearrested on extortion charges and later sentenced to 6 years in jail. But the most controversial case of all involved the operator of one of Thailand's largest pyramid money schemes, Chamoy Tipso, back in the mid-80s. Chamoy, who is believed to have the backing of some influential figures, was involved in a fraud disguised as an investment opportunity in oil business. Thousands of people were tricked into investing in the scam before it was exposed. Chamoy was arrested and charged on thousands of counts. The accumulated jail term subsequently handed down on her was record-breaking. Chamoy was sentenced to over 150,000 years in jail. But What was shocking was that she walked free on parole after having served only 7 years of the sentence. Very much like Chamoy and Chalamchai, Somkit benefited from the penal system. He engaged himself in volunteer work and gradually had his status improved to the point that he was eventually classified as a so-called excellent prisoner, qualified for royal pardon, sentence reductions, and eventually a parole. Obviously, because of the ongoing publicity in the Somkit case, authorities concerned are feeling the pressure to review the penal system, especially the process of involving pardon and parole. Criminology experts, however, noted that the Thai penal system doesn't give enough emphasis on rehabilitation to help prisoners reintegrate with communities after leaving jails. A support system for ex-prisoners is also lacking, and that has contributed to a high percentage of repeated offenders. Prison overcrowding is also a major problem that makes rehabilitation work more difficult. They believe that what is seriously needed is a review of the overall criminal justice system. The case of serial killer Somkit makes it imperative that this is something that requires immediate and serious attention. And we need no warning that with the penal system as it is, Somkit Phumphwang would not be the last ex-prisoner to wreak havoc on the society. And that's all for ThaiPBS World tonight. Thank you for watching.